It's good to see you guys. It's good to be here. It's good to be with you guys throughout these last few 7 weeks. I've really enjoyed my growth, my time, this learning process that I'm still going through. It's uh it's been a struggle for me for sure, but I'd like to talk to you guys about a couple of things. I went to the Philippines in July for the month and saw some pretty heartbreaking things, saw some pretty cool things. One of the things that I made it a point to do, I spent a couple of days just kind of sightseeing. One of the things I really, really wanted to do was go swim with whale sharks. There's this one spot on this one island from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. where these whale sharks naturally come, even though there's a whole bunch of people always swimming there. They come and they feed, and whale sharks don't eat people. And these whale sharks are mammoths. You know what I mean? See what I did there? Figures of speech are common, but spelling it out without actually spelling it out is critical. And I can't just spell it out by saying, you know what I mean? Whale sharks are mammoths. So I have to get into it a little deeper than just, you know what I mean? Because some people just don't know. I'll give you a couple examples. So scientists, we'll call neurologists, we'll call them psychologists. Forgive my tongue here. They're thoroughly trained in research. They're thoroughly trained in studying methodologies, analytical skills, the ability to communicate, though, to people, regular people who have no background in their degree fields. They don't have any formal communication skills in conveying their knowledge to someone who's an outsider. They receive all kinds of training on how to communicate their skills to other scientists. It's a pretty big problem, if you ask me. I do think that it's very important. I don't know what you guys think, but I believe that it's important that people like scientists, people like us in ministry, it's important for all of us to be able to communicate to people what we know in a dumbed down sort of way, because people haven't received the same extensive training and haven't gone through the same extensive study that we have or that these scientists have. So it's important to communicate, but it's a difficult skill. It really is tough to be able to communicate just because of the increased specialization over time, the absence of formal training. So like we go through all these systematic courses, all of these humanity type courses, all of these degree specialty courses, and we get really wrapped up in what we're doing and what we're studying. And so we get almost lost in it. And by the time it's all said and done, it's almost like we're in our own little world. And we're up here and everybody else is, down here. And we have to bring ourselves down to this point so that we can meet them at eye level without actually losing all of the knowledge and all of the information that we've gained. We have to figure out a way to portray that down to this level. And I believe that's the most difficult part of communication is feedback. Getting that feedback and reacting with that feedback, because without feedback, there's no way for me to better serve my community. I'm going to make mistakes in my communication skills, and what's more important than learning from my mistakes is learning what in my mistakes can help me next time, and applying those lessons to my life moving forward. Those are real steps that I can take, and those are real steps that scientists can take. But it does take a certain amount of formal training. It does take, I believe, a certain amount of practice. And that's one tricky, tough thing is I don't have Photoshop. I can't edit this out if I go over time, if I talk too much about one thing or another. But if I get feedback from everybody on the other end of this camera, it helps me better to understand if I didn't hit some certain points, if I strayed too far from my outline, so on and so forth. So my first point being that scientists are thoroughly trained, except in basic communication skills to non-scientists. The follow-up point with that is kind of, most of us would agree that scientists, people like that, should be able to communicate to people who aren't scientists, because that's kind of the whole point of their study, is to make a difference in the world. But not everybody in the world is a scientist. I use scientists as an example of the sender. A common person is usually the receiver. But most people misconstrue the scientific evidence because many scientific people lack basic communication knowledge and skills. So we really need to be able to understand these people, but it's hard for us, it's hard for them, because they probably don't hear from a lot of average Joes about how their mumbo jumbo is too up in the air. So feedback is what separates a lecture from communication. This is just a lecture, really, if nobody actually kind of bounces some ideas off me on what I can do better, other than the fact that I'm already over my time limit. But I'm not going to keep doing cuts. I'm not going to keep refilming this. Many basic people, normal people, don't understand people like scientists, like theologians, because of their deep analytical skills. So I'll leave you with this. Global warming is really real. The only drawback to common consensus is global cooling is also just as real. So the climate naturally fluctuates for hundreds of thousands of years, and those historical patterns have gone to extremes on both sides, warming and cooling. That's a lot more, that's way more easy to, it's so much easier to understand than all of the hermeneutical, philosophical stuff that a degree field can get you honed in on. And excuse me, and they're not bad things, but we need to understand that if we're missing the point, we're not getting it at all, and there's no real effective communication. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for letting me talk over my time limit. I look forward to hearing from you guys. God bless you.